Cable Bahamas has been and continues to be a positive shot in the arm for our summer camps. We look forward to it. Without Cable Bahamas, I don't know if we will succeed because we look forward to the funding and we are very appreciative, particularly the Cable Cares program. We are very appreciative to what they do.
We thank the Cable Cares Foundation, which would have given into this program, and it's going to pay dividends in the long run because each one of these children are affected.
Well, Cable Bahamas Foundation has helped us in a huge way. We are out there looking for all kind of help, and I am so happy that the Cable Foundation didn't decline us based on the economy and what is going on today.
So they've been with us for a long time, and we look for them to be with us for many years to come.
The powers of Baha Mar's provisional liquidators revealed inside the PAC's urban renewal hearing, why a former PLP MP says the PM could cost the PLP the next election, plus police investigating an apparent suicide in the Grove. We've got those stories and a whole lot more tonight. I'm Vwani Toot and NB12 starts now. Topping news tonight, nearly a week after Supreme Court Justice Ian Winder ordered the appointment of provisional liquidators to oversee Baha Mar's affairs, the powers of those liquidators have been revealed. According to the orders obtained by NB12, joint provisional liquidators can hire and fire without the sanction of the court and borrow from China Exim Bank. Kyle Joaquin has the details.
It's been months since Baha Mar filed for bankruptcy in the U.S. District of Delaware, and after several public spats over government's decision to seek the appointment of provisional liquidators and eventually their appointment, we now have a look at exactly what they have been authorized to do. In that order signed by Supreme Court Justice Ian Winder, the powers given to the three provisional liquidators to manage Baha Mar's assets are revealed. Among a list of things, the provisional liquidators are authorized to take possession of, collect, and protect all of Baha Mar's assets, including books, records, computer equipment, and other tangible assets. They also have responsibility for any real property wherever they may be, but are not authorized to sell, deal with, or distribute them. Though what some may consider most interesting is the power now authorized to the provisional liquidators to hire or fire individual employees without the court's approval other than directors or senior management at the vice president level and higher. On Tuesday, Attorney General Allison Maynard Gibson said the provisional liquidators would have to decide whether or not to pay the Bahamian employees with the money left that government owes for roadworks. Three provisional liquidators from Chris Global and Alex Partner Services UK have been appointed. In a joint statement today, Baha Mar and the provisional liquidators said they will work closely with all appropriate stakeholder groups. Commenting on behalf of the provisional liquidators, Edmund Ramming said, "This is both a high-profile and extremely complex situation which impacts a wide range of stakeholders, not least of all, the people of the Bahamas. As a result, the ultimate success of the Baha Mar project is in everybody's interest, and priority now is to begin our work in order to identify the best route forward. We will be working closely with all appropriate stakeholder groups throughout, and further updates will follow in due course." Also in that order, the provisional liquidators have the power to grant or accept a surrender of a lease or tenancy of any of the properties of Baha Mar. They have the power to promote a scheme of arrangement and or compromise with all stakeholders, including creditors or contributories. With the sanction of the court, the provisional liquidators can also borrow from China Exim Bank or any other person with liability to repay any such loan, consulting, and expense of the provisional liquidation. Parties are due back in the Supreme Court on November 2nd to begin the hearing of the winding up petition. Reporting for NB12, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Former Progressive Liberal Party MP Philip Galanis has predicted that the governing party will likely lose the next general election if Prime Minister Perry Christie stays on as leader. Galanis says he knows for a fact that Christie's own cabinet ministers, as well as many stalwart councillors and strong PLP supporters, are disappointed in the Christie administration's performance over the past 3 years. He asserted that Christie should reveal whether he plans to seek re-election before the end of this month.
I think there's a very strong chance we will lose. I think the data bears that out. The polling that we have done clearly indicates that we need to make some radical changes if we're going to win the next election.
Days after he declared his support for Deputy Prime Minister Philip Davis as the next PLP leader, Galanis took it one step further today, asserting that if Prime Minister Christie does not retire gracefully soon, he would likely cost his party the next election. In fact, Galanis said if Davis decides to challenge Christie during the party's national convention in November, it might not be a clear win for the 72-year-old Prime Minister.
There are a lot of young people, and I spoke about that demographic earlier, persons between, and I say young, between the ages of 18 and 50, who are not connecting to the current leadership of the PLP, who believe that the current leadership is tired in many respects. Mr. Davis has done a remarkable job of working with a lot of people in a whole lot of constituencies, and I think perhaps today represents the best possible chance to successfully mount a challenge against Mr. Christie. But there's no guarantee.
In November?
In November.
You think he stands a better chance?
I think he stands the best possible chance of those who've indicated they're going to go.
Davis and Tourism Minister Obie Wilscombe have both expressed an interest in leading the PLP. Former PLP Chairman Raynard Rigby also revealed he is considering running for party leader. Galanis says voters aren't the only ones disappointed in Christie's leadership. He insisted there is a growing level of discontent within the party and in the Christie cabinet.
Oh, I don't sense it. I know it. I hear it all the time. I hear it from persons who sit around the table with him who are not happy with the way that we are proceeding, the way that the government is being led in some instances. I hear it among stalwart councillors who believe that we are not doing all we can for the Bahamian people, that there's been a disconnect. I hear it among some PLP, strong PLP supporters who believe that Mr. Christie and the administration are not taking care of the persons who supported them.
Before the 2012 general election, Christie indicated he would only serve half of the 5-year term. However, 3 years in, he has not stepped aside. The Prime Minister said recently he would need a compelling reason to seek re-election. Galanis says while it is often difficult to release the reins of power, he is operating on the assumption Christie will move off the political scene.
Decisions that we make with respect to leadership. Mr. Christie said that he was the bridge to the future. That was 18 years ago. The bridge has been quite long.
Galanis says Christie needs to reveal sooner rather than later whether he plans to stick around.
It's important for us to know whether or not Mr. Christie is going to run. I think by the end of September is the latest we should know, because it only gives us really a month to hear from anyone who might wish to throw his hat in the ring.
Meantime, Tall Pines MP Leslie Miller says he is bothered that Prime Minister Christie might not move off the political scene and enjoy the rest of the time God may allow him to be with his family. Simone Davis reports.
Miller said he believes that with the caliber of candidates that the PLP has put in place, the party should retain the government in the next general election. He also said he thinks the Prime Minister owes it to his colleagues to announce whether or not he plans to run again as leader of the party or step down.
I think many of us would wish to sit with him and find out from him what it is he would like to do. I think he owes us that as colleagues, that if you decide that you're not going to go anymore, then sit with us as grown men and women in the party caucus, hopefully before the convention, and give us the reasons why you feel that you should take us into the next election.
Christie, who turned 72 last month, has refused to say whether or not he would step down ahead of the next general election. Miller said Christie is blessed to have good health at his age and should take advantage of that, adding that the demise of previous politicians came at a young age and it bothers him that the Prime Minister might not move off the political scene. He also admitted that he thinks the 2017 general election would be the toughest one yet.
I think he really, as a friend, should really consider seriously what it is he would wish to do for the future and whether he is prepared to take us into the next growing election, which I believe is going to be the toughest election probably in the history of this country. I think it's really his decision that he has to make, and only he wants to make that decision because it's a tough one for him.
When asked if he agrees with the former PLP MP Philip Galanis supporting Deputy Prime Minister Philip Davis's plans to run for Prime Minister, Miller said he respects Galanis and noted that not only him feels that way. He added that Christie should meet with the PLP caucus and announce his decision before the next convention set for November.
But, you know, I respect Mr. Galana's views. I'm sure he's not the only one that shares that view. Many people, I think, because of what is taking place in the country today and because the Prime Minister had indicated that he was prepared to leave the scene after, you know, the elections of 2012, you know, that caused a lot of apprehension as, you know, in the public as to what really he intends to do.
We also asked if he would support the Prime Minister if he decides to remain in the political arena. Miller said he doesn't want to preempt Christie's decision. Both Deputy Prime Minister Philip Davis and Tourism Minister Obi Wilchcombe said they are interested in running for leader of the party, but only if Christie decides to step down.
In other news, a man was found hanging from a tree at his home on 8th Street, The Grove, this morning. Authorities are treating the incident as an apparent suicide. Head of the Central Detective Unit, Chief Superintendent Paul Rose, said the man's body was discovered by a relative. Assistant Commissioner of Police Stephen Dean provided these details on the scene.
Police got a report that a man was found hanging from a tree on 8th Street, Coconut Grove. When police arrived on the scene, they met the lifeless body of a male hanging from the tree. The man was pronounced dead on the scene. He's an adult male. We don't have no identity on him yet. We do not have a motive as to what might have happened, but we know he was hanging from a cord from the tree. We are in the initial stage of our investigations, and an autopsy will definitely have to be performed to determine the exact cause of death.
The victim is believed to be 35 years old. This incident occurred on World Suicide Prevention Day, which is being observed today under the theme Preventing Suicide, Reaching Out and Saving Lives. Dean called it an unfortunate situation.
It's unfortunate that it's happening on this day, but it tells you about the reality of what exists, not only in the Bahamas, but in the entire world. People are going through a lot of situations, stressful situations, whether it's through job loss, whether it's through relationship issues, whether it's through family issues, whether it's through financial issues. But you know, the message that we want to continue to tell members of the public who might be going through these situations, it is no good to keep it to yourself.
Still to come inside the PAC's urban renewal hearing. The details are after this break.